had a meeting with Nevin and Karen this afternoon. And one of the things we talked about was equation making and problem solving. And how these are skills that everyone kind of has to figure out as a human being. And how addiction is one way of making an equation that solves an issue or addresses an issue, just maybe not in the most healthy or effective way. So, we're just going to kind of have a little conversation about what are the problems that you guys are experiencing in your recovery process currently in these 4 domains that we've talked about before. And how do we get from problems to solutions? So this is the beginning of the equation and this is the end of the equation. And everything that's in the middle is sort of, subjective and very personal, and it should be. But if we can share that, we can all kind of pool resources and experience, there might be some things that come up that some people have thought of, that other people haven't thought of, et cetera, et cetera. So, first part, filling in the problems. What are some physical problems you guys have experienced during treatment, during recovery, not active addiction, post-active addiction?
This hasn't been as much of an issue, but sleep is one for me. I'm told that's a pretty common one for people in their early on in their detox.
You can try to be a little more specific. What about sleep?
I couldn't do it.
Like a lack of?
Lack of sleep.
So the inability to fall asleep, the inability to stay asleep?
Nearly fall asleep.
Okay. Good start. What else?
Anxiety.
And you want to put that as a physical symptom?
It's hard to say. I mean,
Or let
Yeah.
me ask a better question. What are the physical experiences of your anxiety?
not able to breathe properly. That's pretty physical. Blood pressure.
Gaining weight.
Not gaining weight?
No, gaining weight.
Oh, gaining weight.
Yeah.
And obviously, these aren't going to be exhaustive lists, but I'll throw one up there too.
Yeah, I just said like the exercising is just sort of, and the post-recovery sort of kind of heightened all the aches and pains. I feel it's helped me a lot physically, but it's making things a little more pronounced in terms of like the discomfort I generally feel.
Can you be just one more specific for me? Like, what's the thing that you notice the most?
Knees,
Okay.
sore knees.
Sore knees.
You have to get those looked at, but it's on the list.
Okay.
I guess it's kind of physical and psychological, but like just like memory loss. Is that a physical problem?
I mean, we can move on, yeah. Psychological. So,
Yeah.
memory loss in recovery.
Yeah, I feel like look, I don't. Maybe I've just noticed it now. Like I just feel like I'm a little bit more spacey getting away. I know that sounds weird, but I was thinking like this ever felt like I don't know.
So, just to be clear, spacey and memory loss kind of ring different things for me. So, do you feel yourself like absent at times? Do you feel yourself not retaining things that you'd like to retain?
I would say absent. That's good. And then because I'm absent, then I'm not retaining information.
Okay. Moving into that psychological realm, what are some other psychological problems?
Hallucinations,
Like you see things?
both visual and audible hallucinations.
In recovery, not
Uh,
substance-based?
In withdrawal,
Okay.
short-term,
Is there any kind of precipitating event or things, behaviors, things that are connected to that experience? You're not
No.
hallucinating right now?
no,
Good.
no, I'm talking about just during the withdrawal phase only.
Okay.
Very short-term, but very real.
What else psychologically?
I mean, just like, I guess, like manic mania, when I start feeling good.
And that's a bad thing? That's a problem?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I'll say despair sometimes, and probably my biggest challenge for me sober is just like, yeah, what's the point? It doesn't really matter anyway.
It doesn't really matter to get sober?
Yeah. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's no big deal. I'll be dead in a few years anyway, kind of thing, you know? I mean, I'm just a brief blip on the grand scale of humanity. So what's the point?
I relate to that.
Could I go broader and just say like an existential crisis, or is
Yeah,
despair?
I guess so.
I'm not trying to change it, I'm just curious if like, despair seems like a pretty specific emotional experience.
Maybe it's apathy, just in relation to why bother trying. Sometimes I just feel I don't know, just feel that way sometimes.
Okay. Anything you want to add to psychological?
For me, cravings were kind of psychological, more so than physical.
Sure. Emotional.
Sadness.
In recovery,
Yeah.
is there something that precipitates it or something that initiates it?
Sadness for everything. It could get, sobriety gives me time to reflect. You know, I didn't reflect when I was high.
Yeah.
Just ignored everything, and now I have time to reflect on the loss and the pain that I caused.
No.
I feel like I've gotten better about this with shame, to some extent,
Mhm.
even now.
Can you articulate like where the shame stays or comes from or is initiated or anything like that?
Well, I mean, my brother went through rehab when I was a teenager, and I was raised in a very religious community where that stuff wasn't really talked about, and so I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about it because it would be shameful. And like even now as an adult outside of that community, it took a long time for me to accept that I needed help because I had to be better than the addiction, which is nonsense, obviously, but I still sometimes get anxiety about being open about sobriety now, or about being in treatment. Not as badly as I once did, but it's still there.
In general or just within your community?
In general.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Is anxiety an emotion? Considered emotional?
Could be, yeah. I mean, it really kind of fits in anywhere here, but
Yeah.
did I rewrite it up there?
And despair crosses that line as well.
That's what I was thinking too.
And here's what we're getting to. Yes, exactly. None of these stand alone. Yeah, like despair is spiritual as well. Like, that's what you were talking about. I feel like I went through that at the darkest part of my addiction in like 2018. It was like, I was like, nothing matters, the heat, the death of the universe is gonna happen, and nothing ever matters. And that was a dark spot to be in, for sure.
Still sometimes feel like
Yeah,
that.
even the physical, which is probably the most defined category, there is bleeding into the others with physical. At least so with physical, but definitely with the rest.
I also feel like this isn't really like a specific emotion, but learning how to process my emotions has been kind of a struggle because drinking was kind of my go-to reaction to any kind of heightened emotion that I felt for years. So I don't really know where to put that.
Learning how to process your emotions.
So instead of feeling upset and then drinking, you just have to live with feeling upset or finding some other way to process it.
So is that to say that you didn't want to feel anything and that's why you drank?
Sometimes I didn't want to feel something. And I would look forward to the day after when I would feel like crap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think processing in general kind of goes under all of those, but yeah, that's a good one. Maybe one more? Anything else that goes on there that we haven't touched on? This is why small groups are great, because I can just stare at you guys until somebody says something.
This is why small groups are hard, because you can just stare at us.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have all the
Citizens
answers.
with citizens.
This is your guys' work, so. Alright, so my intention with this is to kind of get, like, what Zach was hinting at, right? Like, these are all, you know, they don't fall into one category, right? And the Venn diagram of where these overlap, you know, they compound, right? So you do have some spiritual despair, which does affect you physically, which creates some kind of emotional response, right? So definitely that can make things worse. But the flip side of that is also when you start to address one and make improvements, ideally it starts to bleed into the others, right? And this is why one of the reasons I believe programs like ours are so effective is because we provide opportunities for you guys to get into all of that stuff, right? You can work hard, you can come up here and have a meeting with Nevin and do a writing process and process either psychologically or emotionally. We encourage you guys to get out in the world and in some way connect with whatever spirituality means to you, right? Like all of those things are taken into account. And when we do that, again, it should be subjective, right? There's like the encouragement for you guys to figure out your own way to navigate all these things. So now, how do we get to solutions in each of these? In all of these? Like, obviously there's no wrong way to do it. There's less effective ways and more effective ways. But where would you start? So this is kind of the issue, right? Nobody just raised their hand and was like, I have exactly the point that I know where I should start.
Let me ask you a question. How
Sure.
does the concept of equation play into this? 'Cause
Right.
that's what you started with.
Yes.
And so is the idea that you come up with a process. Because an equation is something that mathematically you can create or acquire.
Yep.
And you can take it and you can apply it to different areas.
Exactly.
Is that the thing?
That's my intent, right? We often, and I often talk about recovery process being cyclical, right? Where it's like you come back around to things again and again. Tonight, I want you guys to do the opposite. I want us to try to make it linear. I want us to try and say, A is happening. I don't like what A does. I want to feel what C is like, but what is B? How do we transform A through B to get to C? And it's simplifying it purposefully, right? Because this is a template this isn't the thing that will actually work, but it will start to reframe your perspective. It will start to give you some way of looking at a situation and saying, okay, A and B and C, I have all of the information. How do I construct them in such a way that it benefits me? So the two words that I want to kind of prime you with are curiosity and creativity. Right? You have to look at these things and you have to think about, like, oh my God, I hallucinated when I was in the withdrawal. Could just be an overwhelming experience, right? It could just be like, holy fuck. But in reflecting on it, you could say, what were the hallucinations? Where did they come from? Did they point me in a direction? Was there value to them? Right? There can be a curiosity about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, right, and maybe this isn't the best example, but now, since you're not experiencing hallucinations, what are creative ways to continue not experiencing hallucinations?
Not using.
I mean, it seems like a simple answer, yes, yes. And that's great, right? And again, this is...
Yeah, the magic bullet is pretty evident there.
Well, so this is one of the things that Karen and Devin and I talked about, right? Like, getting a person to not use the substance that they used is the easiest part of recovery. All you have to do is not do it, right? There's no trick, there's no special way of not putting alcohol in your body, you just don't. However, it doesn't address the issue. It doesn't address, there's so many ways to different ways to phrase it. The root cause, the underlying problem, et cetera, right? There's something that is missing in how you are interacting with the world, and you're trying to fill that with some kind of behavior or substance, right? So the thing that I was talking about with them was the idea around radical acceptance, or facing reality in a radical way. In my experience, the thing that doesn't work for people is some part of their reality twists them up in one of these categories. And to get untwisted, they think that not feeling the thing will provide some kind of answer, solution, relief, etc. We all know that that's not true. You can ignore the problem for a long time, you can be distracted from the problem from a long time, you won't have to feel it, but there are consequences and costs to that. Whereas if you just face the reality of what is, it'll be uncomfortable, sure. You'll have to do some hard work to navigate that and metabolize it and integrate it into your life, absolutely. But there won't be those rippling negative effects that continue through your entire life. So again, looking at what we have here, how do we start to transform these, transmute, alchemize, whatever the word is, to solutions?
Well, it depends on whichever one we're talking about, obviously.
I think it might, but I think there also might be a way that we can address all of them in a meaningful way that is templated, in the sense that if you learn how to do it with one thing, there's an opportunity to apply it to other things instead of having to come up with new equations for every single one of these.
I see.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we do have to come up with individual solutions for all of them. But again, the way that I'm looking at it is this is like a Venn diagram, right? If we overlay these all, there's going to be this center spot where it's like if you could get to that and address all of these meaningfully, life would be pretty good. And also, if you don't, if you rely on addiction for that middle spot, life's going to be pretty shitty at all of these.
Well, I feel like for some of these, I mean, like community building and support.
Yeah, exactly. There's no wrong work. Right. So, community. Okay, so if we just have community and we have this whole list, right? How does community impact these things?
I mean, the obvious
answers that we can talk about them. That's,
Well, that might
that's
be an
just
obvious.
that's the first step, though.
Well, do you feel like talking about it is meaningful and valuable?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's not the only thing you can do or should do.
I agree.
Always.
And it's a little ironic that there's so many minutes of silence here when we're saying that talking about it is the thing that can be the thing that helps. So I think that's a great point, yes. This has to be part of it. We can't do this alone. But again, let's be articulate. Like, what is the value of community? What are the things that community provides that allow you to address needs in a meaningful way?
Connection, accountability.
Yeah, okay, good. Here we go.
You know, when I talk to my friends about an issue, recovery or unrecovery related, right? Like the life issue. Just the fact of doing it relieves, you know, some of the pressure around whatever it is.
Right, so there's a sense of maybe sharing the load in the sense of like, if other people know what's going on, you don't have to bear all of this by yourself. Nice. Now, it's a moment.
Well, and support, like, so I tell a friend, I'm trying to use one of our examples. I tell a friend, I'll use my own, that I've gained weight, you know, like, oh, the stimulant user, you don't eat a lot when you do stimulants, and now I eat a lot more.
That is how it goes.
Yeah, I know, and that does wonder for the figure. So, we, you know, I've had friends be like, well, I'll go to the gym with you. You know, I'll work out with you, I'll run with you, I'll do this. The immediate, like, jumping in to be a real friend and, like, support me.
Yeah. So can you, just for shits and giggles, phrase that in an equation?
Phrase that in an equation?
Yeah. So as, maybe I'll try and do it first as an example. So A, gaining weight is the problem.
Yeah.
Whatever multiplied by B, a supportive friend,
Yeah.
equals
Usually weight loss or
weight loss or better physical health.
better physical health, probably the better one.
Okay.
Not just like weight. But
Yeah. You guys see the pattern? Again, we're being super simple here, but this is like flexing the muscle. This is giving us practice at this so that we can eventually get into more complex equations and deal with the rigors of life in a meaningful way without having to sit down and write it down in a notebook. Nothing wrong with that, but we also need to develop some other skills around this.
So what about the flip side of that? So what about, I'm trying to think of the best word for this. The word that comes to mind is perfection, but perfection in the sense of like being complete, self-sufficient.
I'm not sure if I'm clear on your question, so what's your curiosity, or what is perfection, how does that fit into what we're talking about?
Being self-sufficient or being okay with being alone, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So being, it's kind of like the opposite of community, but being able to be okay with just in your own thoughts, in your own space.
And again, what's your question about that?
It's not a question.
You're saying that that is a way that it could be done?
That's being okay with that as a solution. It's a separate solution. If we're still, are we still in community?
Well, I want you to articulate for me why you think isolation or being by yourself is an effective solution.
Being okay with being alone because we are often in positions where we are alone. And so embracing that, embracing solitude. When you don't have community, if you don't have community.
I'm not sure if I agree with that.
Yeah, and again, this is maybe an opportunity for some clarity, because being okay, that phrase, to me is like when I'm having a shitty day and somebody asks how I'm doing and I say I'm fine. I'm sure you can be okay with solitude. I've been okay with isolation.
Well, then thriving in solitude.
Yeah, and that's my question. How?
Just knowing that you have the tools to be alone because you don't always have community. You don't always have people. You don't always have that.
Yeah, sure, yeah. You're not always with people.
I do think that that like knowing that it's there, that even if it's not there with you in the moment,
And
it's very helpful. I mean, I know that like knowing that I'm coming here 3 times a week has been a huge help as I've been in recovery, because I know that I'm going to be talking about this in depth in 2-3 days at the most.
And then I feel like this might be a theme that you brought up in previous conversations as far as like self-sufficiency, being able to take care of yourself, sort of independence.
Yeah.
And let's unpack that, right? Because there's lots of, I mean, to speak culturally, right? Especially as men, there's some level of socialization that allows us to believe that that's the way that it should be.
Right.
And I use that word should specifically because there's a push of like, be the dude, right?
Yeah.
And is there something valuable that can come from that? Yeah, there are things that are valuable that can come from that. At what cost?
Right. Well, I think it's an only child Gen X
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Are you an only child as well?
And Gen X.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's
Okay.
a double whammy.
Yeah, okay, good.
Absolutely.
So maybe then, can you articulate what you see as the value that comes from that, the meaning that those experiences have contributed to your living?
Survival. Yeah.
You didn't say thriving.
Right.
So surviving and thriving are opposite ends of the spectrum. Surviving can happen in any circumstance.
Well, surviving is the bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
And thriving is the pinnacle, I guess.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So, can you survive in isolation? Can you survive on the tools that you have for yourself? Absolutely.
Right. But can you thrive?
But can you thrive?
Right.
And even maybe deeper than that, would you want to? Would you want to be by yourself, doing the thing, patting yourself on the back, saying, I got it myself?
No, not ideally.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. Right?
No.
And there's, again, no wrong way to do it. I know a few guys who came back from the war and were just like, bought their 5 acres out in the middle of wherever they went and haven't been back since.
Right, but are they healthy?
Yeah, and what are they, I mean, this is maybe a bigger, broader conversation, but it's like, now you've just taken all of your skill set and your experience and things that you could contribute to a community and you've removed them indefinitely.
Yes.
So what if there are people who would benefit from your presence? What if there are people who would learn from the experiences you have or pick up on the tools that you've already used or et cetera, right? Like, and this is one of the big things about community, right? Where it allows us to not be the guy. We get to be a guy, right? But it's really nice to not have to be the one who's responsible for everything all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's value in reciprocity.
Exactly, yeah, reverberation,
Yeah.
all different kinds of words that you get to bounce things off of people. Right.
And I believe in this.
Yeah,
I absolutely believe in this. I crave it, and I participate in it
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And I think it's just there's a default mode, which is you're doing this, and you're doing this, and you're figuring it out.
yeah, and this is great. This is why I wanted to have this conversation, right? Because again, your lived experience. You mentioned you're a solo kid, the generation that you grew up in, kind of pushed us towards independence and doing our own thing.
Yeah, it's the latchkey kid generation.
Yeah. Parents who are maybe absent or something like that.
Yeah, working.
Or working, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, we can talk about what are the positives that came out of that. Because again, when you say default, it wasn't by default, right? There were choices made. It wasn't like you had this born into you and then you just rode with it.
It's learned.
Yeah, exactly. You had experiences that continued to kind of manifest from your previous experiences, and then it became a way of life.
Yeah.
So there were things that it served, right? There was purpose behind some of those behaviors.
Sure. Yeah, the upside is that if you're put out in the wild, you will get.
And I love this conversation, right? Because I have friends. How old are you?
I'm 52.
52, so a little bit older than me. But we think about this all the time, like guys who are preppers, or guys who are like, getting ready for the end of the world. It's like, yeah, I have a knife and a gun and a flashlight and a blah 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 on me all the time.
Yeah.
And I've never been lost. I've never been lost in the wilderness. I'm an outdoorsman, but I've never been lost in the wilderness because outdoorsmen don't get lost in the wilderness.
Well,
They do all the things to prevent getting lost in the wilderness, right?
Right.
yeah, my father-in-law, he's a prepper. He was a left-wing prepper because now he thinks the right-wing went so far. So it's that's a interesting
It is.
space. But I was like, Bart, he's like, you should start getting ready, Keith. I go, if the world is that bad, I'm just gonna kill myself, Bart. And he like his face. I was like, why the fuck would I want to live in a nuclear holocaust? Like that sounds awful.
Right.
Like I'll just fucking buy a bullet. Like why would I waste my life now for a possibility later?
Of a worse possibility.
Like the worst
The worst possibility.
Yeah.
And this is it's a trope of our generation, right? Where it's like we're all getting ready for the end of the world, and it's like I've been worried about it for the last 25 years. Have I had any experience where I have to like set up a little snare so I can catch a squirrel so I'm gonna eat tonight? No, I never have.
Yeah.
I never will, right? It's this, but it's romanticized, right? It's like, look at the movies that we watched. Look at who the heroes were in our generation. Like, they shoved it into us, right? Where it was like, if you're not this kind of man, you're lacking. You're not gonna make it.
Yeah, the current iteration of that is the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it's fun to think about. It's great to think like, I'm prepared and I've got it. And I'm like, well, what would, everybody's talking about the fucking volcano that's going to erupt off the coast of Oregon, and everybody's like, do you have enough water? I'm like, what?
I'm more worried about the one under Yellowstone.
Yeah, I mean, any of the examples where it's like, you've got 25 gallons of water for each day per person, and I'm like, who does?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? You're going to,
I think it's like a fear response. Like that, like this is kind of off, but that kind of mindset, and some of it's also conspiracy theory kind of thinking, but it's also just kind of like you can't control the world around you, but if you prepare for the worst, you feel like you can.
But I like what we're talking about, and I'm glad that you brought this up because I don't know. I've had a fucking hell of a journey the last 10 years of addiction, and I was really alone and isolated. And then the first time I came out of rehab, I stayed clean for a year, and just kind of on my own, with my wife and kids, just went right back into life, and that didn't have nearly as much meaning as it does now. Like my life has so much more spaces of fulfillment just by having, community. It's a better place.
And I love that word fulfillment. It rings true with thriving, right? Like so many of us get into a spot where we feel like surviving is okay. And it is. There's nothing wrong with just making it, right? But if you don't think about like, could it be better? How could I make it better? What would I like to be better? Right? Like, I feel like that's such a huge part of recovery where it's like, do I just get back to life? Like, sure, yeah, that should be a goal. That should be something you aim for. But just get back to doing regular life, for sure.
Yeah, or do you want to be a step higher, or many steps higher than where you started?
Yeah, or is it a process that really never ends, right? Like if you start to evaluate these 4 pillars and you start to be really intentional about how you exist, there's ways to improve these infinitely. There's always something that can be touched on. There's always a way where you can look at what's going on. And it's not this process of, like, it's not about perfection, right? It's not about checking all the boxes, right? It's about understanding that, like, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, because I know what it's about for me. I'm going to ask, what would it be like to do well in all of these? What would it feel like to be like a comprehensive human being? with the understanding that, again, there's no way to tap these out. There's no way to like become the most physical, and then you're just like, nope, I never have to do it again. Right? You have to eat every day. You have to move every day. You have to sleep every day. How do you refine those processes? And why? Why don't we just turn into lumps on logs? Why don't we just kill ourselves when we're like, oh, well, fucking universe is going to implode on itself in 2 billion years anyway. Might as well get out of here. I don't mean to make light about suicide. But,
But that's funny because I had that thought.
and I've had that thought myself, where it's like, what's the fucking point? And
That's such a rabbit hole too.
Yeah, and
So
maybe-
not just thinking about
So-
the destruction of the earth, but just thinking about like the current size of the universe and all of that. If you want to, if you really fucking not suicidal, but if you want to feel like, well, what if you want to have existential ennui, think about our place in the
Think
universe.
about this, your place on planet Earth. It's impossible to actually comprehend the size of your planet.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes when we have conversations like that, it feels overwhelming, right? And it does feel like we're so minuscule, but I also feel like it can provide a sense of freedom, right? It can provide a sense of like, dang, like this is the only, I'm not gonna fuck up any shit. I can't fuck up anything.
Yeah, I say that too. Like nobody is gonna 1,000 years from now, like who was president now won't matter.
It won't even, yeah, nobody will even
No,
know.
it will. It
Nobody
literally will
even-
change nothing
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
course of human history.
So how, why doesn't that give us this sense of like, I mean, freedom is the thing that comes to mind, but it's also like, why do we hold ourselves back from trying to be the best version of ourselves? Right? Why do we look at a problem and be like, oh, I don't want to feel bad about it, so I'm going to go do a drug? It's like, well, what if you felt bad about it for 2 days and then life went on?
I agree with you. It's just, it's hard.
Yeah, for sure it is, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Like, look at this list. We've been here for 45 minutes. We have this huge list of problems. We have 3 solutions. And you guys we can't think of any other things that might address this?
Meditation.
Yeah, we could have said meditation. We could have said medicine. We could have said fucking, what else? What else? But this is the point, like, the way that we frame this.
Wellness, so like a combination of like diet, exercise.
Yeah.
I know we probably shouldn't say this, and we don't. I don't know. We don't talk about this nearly enough. It's kind of like a hands-off stuff with addiction, but like a really healthy, intimate relationship goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I don't know. We just like never talk about that.
This is hilarious, and I'm going to bring it up. Tim, do you remember when, so for you guys who don't know, Tim was at the residential facility that I work at on my other job before he came here, which is just odd. And I checked in, there's no ethical. I didn't bring him here. but-
I wondered about that as
Um,
myself.
But we had one of the female clinicians do a group education on sex and intimacy. And it's a men's residential facility, and there are 25 guys. And it was hilarious. Like, people can't talk about it.
Why can't we? We
Yeah,
should be able to.
yeah, exactly. Like, what's the issue around talking about how good it feels to be in an intimate sexual relationship? What's wrong with that being something that can be a reason for recovery?
I mean, I have a lot of, just because I'm a stimulant, just like being open about it is like, there's a lot of sexual issues around getting clean from meth and coke.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like a big part of my recovery is like healing the intimate relationship that I'm in. And we just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't talk about it. Maybe with your therapist, but certainly not in a group and certainly not like macro at these
Yeah.
treatment facilities.
Well, I will empower you in our sessions that I lead if you feel like it's relevant and contributing, like, because it's huge, right? It's huge as men, like, again, to
It's literally
isolation.
your only biological purpose.
It's like really like what we're here to do. But again,
Yes, we are.
As an organism, anyway.
yeah, it's an organism, biologically, yeah, for sure.
But it's like I mean, in my intimate relationship, when it's good, it helps a lot of those things, right? I'm less anxious. I don't really feel despair because I have when our emotional connection, our intimate connection is good, I can feel it. It's like, there's, and so so yes, so it like runs downhill.
Yeah. You guys know the author Gabor Mate? Yeah. He does, he's got a bunch of stuff on YouTube, he's written a few books. His take on addiction is that it is a byproduct of the lack of connection in modern Western society. He thinks that the things that cause addiction at their root are byproducts of someone not having the ability or not being presented with the opportunities to establish positive, fulfilling connection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be dismissive, I just know that in some of my darkest moments I felt so lonely.
Yes.
And then just like, and maybe that would lead to drinking, maybe it'd be while I was drunk.
Yep.
And then that's when like the nihilism would set in and it'd be
Yeah.
like, what's the point?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that point that you just brought up was the thing that drew me into Treehouse, because that was part of a YouTube video that I saw on the website that said specifically that there was lack of connection and lack of, like, it was something between like being outdoors and being physical in the modern society and drawing you toward addiction. Who was that attributed to?
The connection quote is an author named Gabor Mate.
Gabor Mate.
He's all over the place. He has books. He's been on thousands of podcasts. He's got stuff on YouTube. His website's really, really useful. If you want to read a good book that will put some things in perspective, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts is
Yeah, I think I've ever read it.
pretty intense book.
Oh,
Have you read that? Without
no,
reading
but
it?
I've had it recommended to me.
Yeah. It definitely. He's one of those guys that just goes straight to the. Like he worked at. He worked up in, I want to say Seattle on Skid Row, just like in like the grimiest parts of town, and like he not never, but his intent is never to like get people sober. It's to get people again. And he has some really, really cool insights about how to just be with people in their addiction. Not try to heal them, not try to convince them that there's a better way of life. Just understand, like, hey, you're a person going through life just like the rest of us are. You just made a choice to do it in a way that sucks. It's super harmful for yourself, causes a whole bunch of drama for other people. Like, it's shitty. There's ways to address that.
And I'm seeing this tie now into service as well. Yeah.
Say more. What are the ties that you see, or what's the connection?
Well, service is a way of connecting with people that you wouldn't in your normal life,
Absolutely.
because you're dealing with, for lack of a better word, it's a different class of person, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's not your friends and family, it's somebody that you're not going to naturally associate with unless you do it, unless you proactively do it.
Yeah. Pursue it.
It's not an ascribed relationship.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll definitely talk more about that.
What's that guy's name?
Gabor, Gabor, Mate, Mate.
Sorry, Gabor maybe makes me think of Jean Jacques Gabor for some reason.
For sure. Okay, what else? What other solutions? I think we're getting closer.
Well, we said service is that there.
And you see service as a solution?
Yeah, for sure.
And
Or as a tool, anyway.
so where would it go in the equation that we're talking about? Is service the end of the equation?
No, it'd be B.
It'd be B, it'd be in the middle.
Yeah.
So
Not for all of them, but for a lot of them.
yeah, I was gonna say let's pick one that doesn't really fit and see if we can make it fit. What on this side doesn't necessarily connect to service, but might be addressed by.
Swimmies would be.
I was thinking.
What was it?
Sarnies.
Okay, yeah.
That was kind of specific.
Around. Okay, or maybe let's just generally talk about like the physical realm, right? All of these things that you feel negatively in your physical body. How would, or what would be a way that service could tip that more in a positive or beneficial direction for you?
I mean, for me, just having a reason to leave the house.
Say it again.
Having a reason to leave the house.
Okay, nice, yeah.
Just something that simple.
So instead of like sitting home and being sore or feeling your physical ailments, you would get out of the house and go do something for someone, and now you take your mind off it.
Yeah.
That's
To some extent.
Yeah, simple enough. What else?
Service can relieve anxiety because you have this sense of completion or resolution
Nice.
or contribution.
Yes, contribution. That's the one. That's the one.
And there's something to be said too for example, a lot of people today don't work with their hands. They don't work in the physical realm. They work in the virtual realm. They work in technology maybe.
Yeah.
I would imagine like the blacksmith. At the end of the blacksmith's day, like they feel pretty fucking solid because they have a product. Or anybody that makes something with their hands or interacts with things that are physical. And not just technology careers pull you away from that. There are a lot of space in the middle where you don't have that sense of completion, so contribution, sense of each day there's a struggle and an effort and then a result.
And a finishing.
Another.
Yeah, sorry. Kind of related. Like, just like a quick story. I was with my dad at OMSI. My dad's a farmer, and there was this AI presentation, and it showed like the future of robots, and then it was essentially like WALL-E, like all of these robots that would replace humans. And I look at him, I go, "What's the ultimate goal here?" I was like, "You feed people, like you're a farmer, you feed people, and like a doctor helps people, and they heal. Like, well, if we have machines replace that, and humans have no purpose, like what happens? Like we're fucked. Like we're fucked."
Let's
If
start
you
with
take
that.
away
Yeah.
all of our purpose as humans contributing to humanity and society, I had that existential crisis. I was like, whoa. I was like, there is so much value and purpose in what we do. Like, it was a good moment for me. And
Nice.
actually, like, feeling like, okay, like there's purpose in our work. There's value showing up every day. Like that, it has meaning, it can create meaning in my life. I'm trying to throw this anyway, but just seeing that AI presentation of robots essentially, they're like, and they were showing it in like a good light. They're like, yes, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
You'll just be able to do whatever you want. Like, no, dude, I like my job.
And all of this started in the Industrial Revolution, and it's just exponential. We're just seeing the pinnacle of it right now. It's just more and more.
Goddamn steam engines.
There's no reason to do these things that give us meaning because there are machines that can start with the washing machine. Not the robot, but
I mean, the ideal answer to that is that the ideal world would be one where the hardest stuff is being taken care of by machines, and we could pursue things that are more personally meaningful to us as individuals.
Yeah,
And that's a very,
But-
very idealistic way to spin
sure,
it.
but think
And I
about
think that, like, with how AI is being used for things like generation of art,
Yes.
that's really not the way things are going.
Yes.
right. The idea is that you're gonna save yourself for higher pursuits, but are we?
But what are higher pursuits? Like,
Yeah,
what
what
is
are
more-
those?
What is more meaningful
I
than
love this
growing a crop, harvesting it yourself, creating food, and then feeding someone with it?
Yeah.
Like, it's such idealistic way is an interesting way to phrase that, because it's like you just said, take the hardest things and take them out of our...
The hardest things are great.
The hardest things are the best things. The
My
hardest
dad
things-
loves being a farmer. Like, it's his
Yeah,
identity.
yeah.
His whole life. parents were farmers, his grandparents were farmers. We've had the same farm since the 1880s, and it's his life.
Yeah.
And you can't take it away from
Yeah,
him.
and if you think about this on a more macro level, like what if our ancestors had gone away from the hardest things? And the hardest things were acquiring food and protecting each other. What if some dude was just like, you know what, it feels really hard to get food. Maybe let's not.
Well, that kind of is what happened.
That's
how we-
exactly
That's how we get farmers from hunter-gatherers.
Exactly, that's how industrialization happened, right? Because people were like, man, it sure is hard to do all of this. What if we didn't? And then we got capitalists. What do capitalists do?
I mean, they'll own all the machines.
Yeah,
that
they
do
own all
everything.
the machines. They buy
UBI.
stuff.
They capitalize.
Yeah, now we're getting into a more sort of.
But the whole point is, what for me in that moment, the contribution part was huge because I just was looking at my dad and I was like, why would he would never want that taken away from him
Yeah.
by somebody. These people are delusional,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, so let's bring it back. Let's try and center it on our current conversation, our current experience in treatment. So we all agree that service and contribution need to be part of the solution. So what are ways that we make that reality? What are ways in your lives where these things start to come up? Because we all know that, treatment is a very selfish process. You should be thinking about yourself. You should be working on yourself through this process. How do we get from that sort of like internal focus and getting your own shit together to a place where we can extend ourselves? Because this requires effort, it requires attention, like you were talking about. You have to seek this shit out. This is not stuff that happens accidentally, right? You have to go somewhere and do a thing and make it happen yourself. For what reason?
Pay it forward. I mean, you get,
There doesn't need to be.
to have to acquire the energy, strengthen yourself with the energy, and then spread it.
Give it to somebody else. And I think philosophically you're on track. But in real life, in real time, what are you guys going to do? And again, it's okay to not have the answers right now, because we're in the middle of the process.
Well, it's pretty easy to know where you stand. I mean, we spend our lives comparing ourselves to other people. It's very easy to say, well, this person has less shelter than me, less money, less resources, less nutrition, or this person is at an earlier point of recovery than me, and I've gone through that, or I'm through that,
Mhm.
and I'm in a place to help with that. It's still pretty high level, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about on Monday, there are literally thousands of organizations in the city we live in that try to address those needs. How many of them are you all involved with? And this isn't any kind of judgment. This isn't to put pressure on you. This is to suggest, like, if you're not doing it now, again, fine, that's okay. There's no pressure to do any of this as an obligation. But if we're all in agreement that these things are valuable and they provide meaning and they allow us to feel fulfilled when we participate in them.
So then the messages get to a place where you can do that.
Okay, so now, yes, now we're getting deeper, right? It's not even these things that are actually important. What's actually important is getting your own self to a place.
Elevating yourself to a place of where you have excess energy.
Yeah. And maybe not even excess, right? Because it's okay to stretch yourself for these things, I think, right? And this is why we see people like, social workers and therapists and people who work in shelters who are burnt the fuck out, and they still show up every day. So, right? This is not, again, there's this idea, right, of like you were talking about perfection. If I just get myself to the perfect spot, then I'll be ready to do these things. It's a fallacy, right? Nobody's ever in a perfect spot to do these things. They're going to be inconvenient, like I said on Monday. These are going to be challenging and inconvenient every time you do them.
Well, then leave your, I mean, the message then is leave your comfort zone
Yeah, there we go.
as often as you
There we
can.
go.
Yeah.
It's a muscle you have to flex. And it does start with giving $2 to the guy on the street who you walk past. It's a minute of your time, but that's one little click. That's one little rep of you being like, Dave, I've seen this person. I see him. I interact with him. That is some measure of service and contribution, right? It doesn't have to be these grand gestures. You're not trying to win a Nobel Peace Prize. You're just trying to like address humanity in a meaningful and purposeful way.
So that's a good example of giving money to people. And how do you get to a point? I mean, yes, giving money where you know they're gonna, if you know they're gonna use it for something that's gonna help them. But we were talking on Monday of not getting to a place of not caring if they're gonna get high with it or destroy themselves with it.
Yeah, because why do you give a shit?
Yeah, I don't know why I give a shit, but I do.
Yeah, me too. And this is what I was going to suggest, right? If you feel resistance, that's the inconvenience that I'm talking about. Because if you were just walking down the street handing out money, right? If you had those resources and just handed out money to everybody, it wouldn't have the same impact on you, right? It has to feel like, oh, he asked me for money and I'm just one step from turning away. If I feel that resistance where I'm like, fuck, another homeless guy, then I immediately turn back and like, yeah, that was the trick. Right? And that's the flexing of the muscle, right? Because it was like,
That's the comfort zone.
yes, the comfort
You're
zone.
getting
Yeah.
out of it.
My comfort zone is like, oh, I got confronted by a homeless guy. That feels weird. It's like, well, probably feels fucking weird to sit on the street corner and ask people for money too. So is it my weirdness of like, oh, he asked me for money, or is it like, damn, I need to recognize that that's a human being suffering, and if I can make it easier by handing him $2 for a brief moment. And again, there's no should, you don't get bonus points or anything, but it's like,
Okay, that's a good example then. So you seem like you started in a place at one point where you said, no, how about? And got over that and confronted
oh
that.
yeah. I mean, I had enough friends kill themselves or die, and having had opportunities to help and didn't, where I was like, okay, like, I mean, this is my personal journey, but I owe a lot of people, honestly. And I'm not ever gonna get to repay those debts, so I figure out other ways. And that's not everybody's journey, right? And that doesn't have to be that intense. And ideally, it's not, right? Ideally, you get those little opportunities where you're just like, yeah, high five. I'm glad that you have $2 to do whatever the fuck you want to do with, you know?
Yeah.
Well, what if that's, I mean, seriously, what if that's the $2 that gets him the fentanyl that he ODs on and dies?
Yeah, but why does it matter to you? This is like,
I feel like that's a really big hypothetical though.
well, and the hypothetical is like, the moment of connection is when he asks and you respond.
Yes.
Beyond that moment, it's irrelevant. Because what if he just goes and gets a sandwich? What the fuck do you care? Now he has a sandwich. What if he does go get fentanyl and kill himself? What the fuck do you care? It doesn't matter. It's not even on you anymore. But when someone asks and they say, hey, I'm in need, and you deny that, that will stay with you forever. Right?
I see what you're saying.
It does. I feel like I have like 3 different periods, times, where somebody asked me for help in a very specific way and I denied them.
Yeah.
And I regret it forever.
Yeah.
There was one, like a guy gave me water on the side of the road and I just kept driving. And I never stopped thinking about it to this day, 25 years later.
Yeah. Perfect example. Because it's like, what would it have cost you?
Nothing.
No.
I feel like, yeah, I have like a few of those that I regret.
And again, like this isn't, we all practice this. We all have to practice this. I still practice this, right? And it's like, again, like I mentioned, if there is a resistance, if you hear someone say something and immediately your response is like, what the fuck? There's something that you need to check in about yourself. There's something that needs to be evaluated. There's an assessment that needs to take place. Because what is your resistance, especially if you have the resources? Like, if you're hard up yourself, then it's like, maybe you can just commiserate with that person. Even that would be valuable. But if you have the resources and it's only that small amount of time and you make the choice not to do that, like what the fuck kind of person are you? What the fuck kind of person am I? If we just look at that and we're like, good luck. Like, that's hard. Got kind of off topic there, sorry. it stands though, right? These are important, but even these are not the most important thing. The most important thing is getting yourself to a place where these things are viable options for how you exist. Right? Not just wallowing in whatever trauma led to your addiction, but getting to a point where you're healed enough to see the humanity in other people and say, I can make this briefly easier for this person. I know what suffering is like. I can briefly relieve some of their suffering.
Seems like it'd be safe to say like those things also are things that'll help you get to become the more perfect, as we're using, person you don't know. It'll help you get to that point. It's part of the process as well, I
It
guess.
will refine your character. Every time you have this conversation with yourself, there will be something about yourself that you learn. Could be valuable if you're intentional with it. If you ask yourself those questions, why did I just give that guy $2? What the fuck do I care about that guy? That's a relevant conversation to have with yourself. Dang, I must have seen something in him. I must have recognized his potential as a human being. I must have remembered my own struggles and realized that that little bit of relief does help in the moment. These are all important. Anything else?
I did kind of want to add something else to this
Please.
position. It's a little off topic from what we were just talking about, but vulnerability. None of this is going to matter if you're not actually willing to open up to your community or to people you're helping or to do or to whatever.
My goodness. If that isn't striking the nail on the head at the end of the night.
Nice guy, David.
Gold star. Absolutely, right? Again, none of this comes easy. All of these require effort. Most of them, in some way, well, I'll not say that. Some of them can be inconvenient. That's good. That's stretching you out of your comfort zone. It's taking you to a place that you're unfamiliar with and increasing your capacity. This is going to be a theme for the next few months for us. It's not about getting better. It's about increasing your capacity for navigating bullshit. None of us get better at that. You don't get some gold crown, but you understand that, like, actually, whatever this is not the biggest deal. Whatever it is. And how do I navigate that? How do I take that in? How do I sit with that? How do I radically confront the reality of that and continue getting on with life? Last chance, 1 more minute. Final comments? Awesome work. Awesome work. I love this. Look at the balance. Maybe not equal, but at least we filled up the other side. All right. Fantastic work, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Give me a high five on the way out, and we'll do it again on Friday.